Now, the football season, domestic and international club football season, is over, and it ended with the Champions League final on Saturday night. It was played in Portugal. It involved two Premier League teams, Chelsea and Manchester City. And last Wednesday, Villarreal from Spain, 7th in the Spanish League, played Manchester United in the final of the Europa League. It was a disappointing result for Manchester United, and indeed a disappointing performance, and we'll come to that. But I'm joined now by John Giles to discuss both games, principally, of course, the Champions League final. John, first off, I thought it was a really good game. High tempo, lots of intensity, the right winners, and lots of good players on view.
Oh yeah. I think most of the good stuff, Eamon, I must be honest and say, came from Chelsea.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I thought they were really excellent, and I know we'll talk a little bit more about Kante particularly.
Yes.
They were good. They were solid. City were never solid. I think Pep made a mess with Eamon from the start. The team he picked was all sort of attack. We're going to attack from everywhere. We one player in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
I thought Chelsea were too solid for them, Eamon. They were well balanced. Kante particularly doing everything that needed to be done in the middle of the field on his own, virtually on his own.
Yeah. When the teams were announced, I normally wait 20 minutes. You give me your take on it, and then I have a bet. But on Saturday night, when I saw the City team before the game, I rang you. And I said, John, and people mightn't believe me if I think I'm spoofing, but they will believe you if you can confirm this. John, I've made my mind up. I won't need you tonight. Chelsea are going to win. Now, there's a serious point to this. I'd looked at City's team. It was woefully unbalanced. First of all, they'd no striker. Mahrez and Sterling, who only played 2 of the last 9 matches, have a really bad season. And Kevin De Bruyne playing as a false 9, as they call it, which is a deep line centre forward, which would take him out of build-up play. But then the midfield, Foden, who's at his best, I think, playing on the right and coming in on his left foot wide. Gundogan, who is kind of floats around midfield and has got a lot of important goals, but isn't really a dynamo in there. And Bernardo Silva, who's another player who really is best out wide. They'd no striker. They'd really no midfield. And I thought, this is crazy. And I think you felt the same, didn't you?
Well, what happened, Eamon, actually, when you rang me, I hadn't seen the team.
Yes, right.
Right. And you gave me the team. And of course, when you mentioned the names, and then when I saw the lineup, I felt the same as you. This is crazy.
Yeah.
There was no balance. I mean, you have to have a balance to a team.
Yeah.
And there was no midfield.
No. And there was no real striker either.
No, they've been doing that for a while. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that, but with getting the midfield balanced up, there was no balance here. I think Gundogan was the only one in the middle of the field
who was actually.
You know what I mean? If you look at the forward line, you had Mahrez, Silva, Foden, De Bruyne ahead of them, and Sterling.
Yeah.
And I just read a stat this morning that in the midfield lads, Eamon.
Yeah.
I said in 60 of the previous matches that they played in all the competitions, in 59 of them, either Rodri or Fernandinho played in them.
Yeah, no holding midfield player was
nothing. Nothing there. So it was a bad omen. When you told me the team and looked at the team, I must say I felt the same as yourself. There's no balance to this. No, and there wasn't. And in the actual game, once Chilwell and James put Mahrez and
Sterling
out of the game, they've nothing, absolutely nothing after that. So it was a bad mistake by Pep. There's no doubt about that. I mean, that was generally agreed by all the journalists and everything. It was a really bad decision.
And I didn't tell the story of my phone call to you to make myself look like the brain of Ireland. But you're absolutely right to say I was watching it on BT, and Rio Ferdinand, Joe Cole, who I think is very good. I mean, they actually picked up on it immediately as well. So this is a coach, Pep Guardiola, who has been praised and is regarded widely as the best coach in the world, probably because of his achievements in domestic competition with Bayern Munich and with Manchester City. And of course, he's never won the Champions League except on the 2 occasions he won it with Barcelona, where Messi, Xavi and Iniesta were playing. The last win in the Champions League for him was when they beat Manchester United 3-1 in 2011. And I just raised the question with you, John. It's very hard to understand why he did what he did with the team selection. My own take on it is vanity, ego. He wanted to see certain kind of headlines or being too clever by half. What's your take on it?
Well, he made a mistake, Eamon. But all managers make mistakes. It was a bad mistake to make.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can't judge him on that. I mean, It was a bad mistake. I'd say he'd be the first to admit it.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it. I mean, he put out a team and thought, well, we're going to attack them, we're going to get at them, and it was wrong.
Yep.
It was a mistake, Eamon.
Now let's talk about Chelsea, John. You like Thomas Tuchel. You've made it clear on this podcast and elsewhere on News Talk, where you do the Thursday night show, that you think highly of him, and he has. I thought Frank Lampard was harshly treated, but I think Frank left a legacy in that he played Mason Mount, took Mason Mount to Derby actually when he was there, and has Mason Mount is, I think, going to be is now a really outstanding top-class player. He came from the academy at Chelsea, which is great. So did Reece James, the right back. He's also a former academy player. And Lampard blooded those players. So when Thomas Tuchel arrived, there was something there. These lads had gained an experience that was really valuable for them, hadn't they?
Yeah, well, I think Lampard did well, up to a point.
Yeah,
obviously. But this guy is more experienced than Frank. This is Frank's first job, and I think he did a good job overall, Eamon.
Yes.
But this fella took them up 2 steps more.
Yes.
You know, like he hasn't bought any players. He has the same players that Frank had when he came in, and it's a sign, always sign of a good manager is improving him when he comes in to do it. He has something about him, Eamon. Actually, he did a very good job last year with Paris Saint-Germain when they got to the final of the Champions League again. And I remember watching them last year, and there was a big improvement in that team. Yes. You know, with Neymar, he had Neymar, but there was an attitude about him that I hadn't seen before in matches.
Yes.
So I think he's a hard nut, Eamon.
Yeah.
I think there's no messing about him. I mean, he had the young lad there. Do you remember he put him on as a sub in one of the matches early on?
Yeah.
And took him off before half time.
Right, yeah.
Because he wasn't doing what he was told. He wanted him to do.
I think it might have been Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah, I think it was, Eamon. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I don't think he'd be pally-wally with any of them. And I think, like all great managers, Eamon, he puts a bit of a frightener on them.
Yes.
That's what I think with great managers.
Yeah.
Okay, you can be good with them, but don't step beyond a certain point.
Alex Ferguson springs to mind.
Oh, well, in a big way. But they all had it, Eamon. I mean, all the managers. Like I played under Matt Busby, and Matt Busby had it in a big way.
Yes.
You know, he wasn't aggressive, but there was no doubt who was in charge. And this is what you had to do.
The iron fist in the velvet glove, John.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this guy has a big fist, Eamon. In a big glove.
He's extremely well behaved and smiley and says all the right things. Just want to talk about a handicap. He's inherited Timo Werner, a player who came from Leipzig. He's German international. Frank or somebody at Chelsea bought him. We don't quite know. And he had a 51 million release clause in his contract. I'd seen him play for Leipzig and for Germany and didn't really fancy him. I think I said to you at the time. He's had a nightmare. He scored 2 goals in, I think, 23 matches. And again, he had the first glorious opportunity against City the other night. He's just having a mare.
Yeah. His confidence has gone, Eamon.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the stating the obvious. But if strikers particularly, Eamon, if their confidence goes, they're in big, big trouble.
Yes. The snatcher things, yeah.
Yeah, because you have to. I mean, scoring goals is the hardest thing of the lot on the football pitch. And like all the strikers I played against Jimmy Greaves for a lot.
Yes.
Eamon, and they're all obviously individuals. But Jimmy, when I played against him, I always gave me the impression, and certainly saw it on the pitch. If I miss one, tough.
Yeah.
In other words, Jimmy wasn't, like Dave Mackay was a great player getting stuck in, getting others and people on. I always thought Jimmy was playing for a bit of fun.
Yes, yeah.
And if I miss it.
Yeah.
You know, it was
that
someday.
Another one along.
Yeah, in other words, he wouldn't be. Actually, I found it even playing with the Leeds lads. When I played with Alan Clark and Mick Jones was quite a sensitive lad, Eamon.
Yeah.
And if Mick missed a couple of chances, he said, "Come on, Mick."
Yeah.
His head would go down.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, we played with Alan Clark. And if Alan Clark missed, you said, come on, Alan. Tell you to F off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's more likely to get the next goal.
Yes. Now,
you know, Mick could still be, not just Mick, but people like that. If they're sensitive people, mostly goal scorers, like Jimmy Greaves gets, well, some you win, some you lose.
Yep.
But when he got the next chance, he was still relaxed to do it. Never lost his nerve, you know. And it's the most difficult thing. And I think with this lad, Werner, Eamon, I think that's the way it is. He's lost his confidence. I mean, he miskicked the ball again the other night.
He did, yeah. And the thing about him, I think, well, first of all, his asset is pace.
Yeah.
And, of course, finishing was his other asset. But he hasn't started to hide because he's still missing the chances. Now, strikers can hide, John, as you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's what can happen when they lose confidence. However, for the goal, and let's talk about the winning goal and the Chelsea goal, he made a run and he took Diaz out of it and left a bloody big hole in the middle of City's defence, which really is criminal. Zinchenko, who was playing left back instead of Cancelo, who might have been playing there, who's had a very good season, he was nowhere. But Havertz, who's a young lad who came, 79 million he cost. It's the most Chelsea have ever paid for a player. He's looked talented, but not quite ready for the Premier League for all of the season, really. But he there was a huge hole. And Mason Mount's through ball, John, was absolutely brilliant. Don't you agree?
Yeah, he's a good player, Eamon.
Yeah, very.
Like in Werner's case, I worry about him, Eamon, in the sense of whether he's going to get any better or not, because we might have spoken about it before. How many times has he caught offside?
Yeah, no, we talked about it, and you're right. It's kind of laziness, and it's actually not intelligent. And you need intelligence as a football intelligence as a striker, and it is lazy as well, isn't it?
Well, I don't think it's lazy with him, Eamon. What the worrying part is, if he was lazy, I'd be less worried about him if you call it worry, because you could tell him, you know. But I don't think he sees it.
Yes, yeah.
As a striker, you know, when they're thinking about the game, they're really top class lads. The first thing to think about, am I onside? Am I offside?
Yeah, yeah.
And he doesn't. What's happening with him? He doesn't think about it, which is a worry. So there's a good chance he'd be caught offside a lot more. But if he's not thinking about that, then what is he thinking about? That's the problem.
Yeah, it's obviously getting the ball into the back of the net. But let's look at some of the players, John, in that Chelsea. And, of course, Ben Chilwell came from Leicester. He was in the Leicester team that won the Premier League in 2016. He's a very, very, very good player, John.
Yeah, I think he's, well, Alonso is a good player. Alonso isn't in that left back. He's also a good player. So they have a lot of good, really, really good players, Chelsea. You know that, especially defenders. I think he's very good, Chilwell. He's good on the ball. He's quick. He does all the things you want him to do. Yeah. I mean, he put Mahrez out of the game. I mean, that was a big thing for the other day. The two wingers never kicked the ball between James and then I know you like James. James is very good as well.
Yeah,
on the other side,
but Sterling get a kick.
Not a kick, mind you. What was amazing too, I thought with Guardiola's picking the team, how Sterling was in the team, I don't know.
No, very strange.
He hasn't kicked the ball, and I saw it in the paper, and it seemed like a big thing as well. That there's talk about players leaving City, and he was one of them.
He is, yeah, that's right. He's supposed to be on his way out. It was, I don't know, it's the most extraordinary team selection I think I've ever really seen. But we've covered that ground. James, very good player as well. Now, the other thing is Thiago Silva, who really is huge for Chelsea. He had to go off with half an hour to go. But actually before that, I think. But
before that, first half.
With a groin strain. I thought that was critical. At that stage, it was 0-0. And I thought, that's going to be a real problem. But they dealt with it okay. They brought on Christensen, who really did well and made a couple of seriously important blocks.
Yeah.
So
the only thing was, Eamon, they City made it easy for them as well.
They did, yeah.
Now, I'm not taking anything away from the lads. There was nobody up front, Eamon.
No. Of course.
Do you know what I mean? You're looking at the two centre halves who are good centre. They didn't have to mark anybody.
No. And De Bruyne, of course, De Bruyne was, even before he got what is quite a serious injury, it turns out, he was missing in action, wasn't he, John? Now, neither of us are big fans of De Bruyne, which puts us at odds with a lot of people who are commenting on football or doing analysis. It's his character, basically, we'd question, isn't it?
Yeah, I very gifted lad. I'm always amazed at people, especially that Micah Richards.
Yeah,
he raves about him. He's the best. But anyway, that's by the way. But he's a very talented lad. But I don't like his attitude, Eamon.
Yeah.
If he gives a bad ball and he's got his hands up in the air with his colleagues and that, I don't see him as a great player. I must be honest.
No,
I think he's a very gifted lad, and on his day, as some of them are on his day, he can be outstandanding.
Yes,
but I just don't. I don't like his attitude.
No, me neither. In fairness to Micah Richards, he's a former Manchester City player, and B, he is by no means the only one. Our friend Graham Souness, for example, and many others who big up De Bruyne all the time, and it's never questioned. So just to move on to the player, I think, who really has now finally been acknowledged for what a great player he is. That's N'Golo Kante, John. We've been watching him for 2 years, I think, maybe a little longer, back to the Leicester time when they won.
Eamon, we're in love with him.
Yeah. But back to Leicester winning the Premier League.
Yeah.
I mean, he was at the heart of that. He is a great player, John, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, definitely, Eamon. And I mean, here is a lad who is not really blessed. I mean, you take De Bruyne with what he can do and distribute the ball and all that, but you go back to attitude. He doesn't have the same qualities as De Bruyne, but it's work,
and intelligence, John, to read the game.
Well, that's all part of it, Eamon. You know what I mean? He's like you don't be a great player like he is, without the intelligence to do it.
Yes.
But then, with the intelligence, then obviously it leads to attitude. I mean,
yes.
And sometimes lads are not. I've seen lads on the pitch who weren't particularly brainy and that, but attitude, unbelievable. I mean, his attitude is perfect.
Yeah, and he never fouls anyone.
No, he never tries to. I mean, he sees the ball, and all he got. Now, sometimes he commits a foul because he's not because he's trying to get the ball. But he's as honest as a day, as long as they say. Nothing about himself. It's all about the team, and he's up there. Do it. No fuss, no bother. Get it done. Play for the team. He's just great. He's great, and he's a perfect example to any young lad watching the game in terms of attitude.
Yes, and application to the task.
And skill, I must say, I wouldn't dismiss his skill because he never gives the ball away. He uses the ball well, and
he can pick out a pass.
Oh, yeah, excellent! I mean, it's just a joy to have. I mean, if you had 12 guys or 11 guys there with his attitude,
you'd be unbeatable.
With some ability, you'd win everything.
Yeah. Now, here's a team that badly needs to win something. Manchester United, John, and it's a good time to talk about their game against Villarreal and to talk about the €100 million Paul Pogba, who will be playing alongside Kante in midfield for France in the European Championships, which starts on June 16th. It's an absolute travesty that those two players, they could not be more different, could they?
No, for France, Eamon, it's not so bad in terms of little Kante will do all the work.
Yeah.
It could make Pogba look what he's supposed to be.
Yeah. No, it's true. Well, absolutely. I certainly don't think Scott McTominay, God love him, can make Pogba look what he's meant to be. Because in this game, let's look at the Villarreal game, and let's salute Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel and the players for a really deserved victory over a Manchester City side that really let itself down. And it was back to the way they were. Just a final comment. In the first half of this season, this very strange season, City weren't great. Then they picked it up, but they were back to being not so good on Saturday night. Now, Villarreal, John, 7th in La Liga, a team full of journeymen, good, honest pros with a bit of know-how, but with Manchester United's array of talent, really. Fernandes, Pogba, Cavani, Mason Greenwood, lots of very good players, and Villarreal won the cup in the strangest of circumstances. Just let me ask you about Manchester United's performance, John, and in particular the performance of Pogba.
Well, I thought they started well, Eamon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they're going to win this game. Now, to be fair to Villarreal, they did defend extremely well. They didn't give many chances away.
Yeah.
But I thought they're going to beat these well.
Yeah.
But then it turned, and
the goal turned it to some extent. A bad mistake by Lindelof, who was marking. It was a set
for the goal. Yeah.
Ball chipped in behind the wall, and Lindelof didn't get there.
Yeah, well, that was against the run of play.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
and to be fair to him, so you say, well, okay, well, United will come back. I mean, there could have been one or two up. Could have been on the play that they had.
Yeah.
So look, I thought at that stage United would win this game. Now they defended particularly well, Eamon, all the time.
Yeah.
They were very well organised, Villarreal. There's no doubt about that. And the longer the game went on, the more they come into the game, especially getting towards the end of the time. And there was, I thought Solskjær made a big mistake, Eamon, in the substitutions. I mean, at this stage of the season, players are going to get tired more so than at the early part of the season. And I think Emery did well.
Yeah.
He made 5 subs before the 90 minutes.
Yeah. United.
Solskjær made no subs until after the 90 minutes. Yeah. And at that stage, Villarreal started to get on top and stayed on top.
Yes.
At that particular stage.
Yeah. And
I don't really rate Solskjær, Eamon, to be honest, as you know, and I've said this a lot of times in your programme. I mean, before the game, in the papers, all the papers in that morning, it was about destiny to win.
Yes.
It was Matt Busby's birthday. And it was 20 years or so before they won in 99 when they did the treble. This was Solskjær was talking about.
Yeah.
No, there's destiny that would win this match. Yeah. Destiny to win you nothing.
No.
That's 30 years ago. And he's still living like 30 years ago, Matt Busby and Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
Instead of getting under the job for today. And like in the end, obviously we know it went to penalties and Villarreal pipped them on it.
I just want to remind you and our listeners in particular that when he first became head coach at Manchester United, people noticed that he wasn't using the car space reserved for Alex Ferguson. And they asked him about it. And he said he didn't feel that he should use the car parking facility that was there for the head coach, who happened to be Alex Ferguson before. I thought that was also along the lines of Matt Busby's birthday stuff and all of that. I mean, that's mad, isn't it? You're the head coach. Get in the parking space.
Yeah. get on with it and get it. The Matt Busby days gone, Eamon, which were great days, and so was Ferguson. They were great managers.
Yeah.
But they're gone. Now you have to put your own stamp on it. And I always feel that he's afraid to do that stuff and doesn't feel the confidence to do it. So that's why when I saw the read in the paper about, going back to the other Matt Busby, I thought that's not the way to approach the match. This is the way to talk about the match as yourself as manager and get the job done.
Yeah.
So, but as you say, I think he's a nice lad, Solskjaer, and up to a point he's done a reasonable job.
Yes.
But I don't see him as the man. I don't see him as a Tuchel.
No.
That's going to carry this forward into next season. And then, by any means.
I mean, you've been a manager of international team, the Irish team, and of course at West Brom. Managers have to have an imposing sense of themselves. There has to be no question of being nice or not nice. It's just you have the authority. You know what you want, what you're doing. It's your team, your responsibility, and you have to have that sort of authority about people radiate it. I mean, and he doesn't have that.
No, he living in the past, Eamon. I think when you go into any club, I managed West Brom, who were a famous club, and obviously you pay total respect to the people that went before you.
Yeah.
Which is what you should do.
Yeah.
But then you have to get on with your own job.
Yeah.
And your own job is now.
Yes.
And there's no destiny because of that's what he was talking about. Unfortunately, it's destiny to win it. You don't have destiny to win it. You make it win, and you make the players that you have. That day is gone. Yeah. You respect it. It's part of the history of the club, which is quite right. But today is today, and you have to do what's needed to be done today.
Okay, a final question on that Villarreal victory, and it was to do with the penalties. First of all, the penalties were brilliant from both sides. Pogba had left the scene of the accident at that stage. He was on the touchline, maybe because he didn't fancy taking a penalty. The €100 million man misses penalty. But the penalties went 10-all. It was astonishing. Now, they finished it off with the goalkeepers having to take the penalties. And I strongly felt that no competition, and particularly not the Europa League, or indeed the Champions League, if it happened on Saturday night, it shouldn't be decided on the basis of goalkeepers' ability to take a penalty. No,
I totally agree with them. I think it's wrong. I think it's very, very unfair on the goalkeepers. I mean, goalkeepers there to stop penalties.
Yeah,
that's mainly the thing. And why not restart again, go back to number one again?
Absolutely,
and do it that way. I mean, it was fantastic. The penalty, the standard of penalties was brilliant.
Yes,
and I must say that the standard of penalty from the Villarreal goalkeeper was perfect. But I think the principle of it. I mean, why do the goalkeepers have to take penalties where the lads are still on the pitch and the number ones go again?
Yes,
I think it's very unfair on them, and I think De Gea has had terrible, very, very bad publicity. I mean, I saw some of the papers blamed him for winning because he didn't stop a penalty.
Yeah,
and he missed a penalty. That's not right. It's very unfair on goalkeepers.
Unfortunately, his record is no saves in the last 28 penalties, but that was before the other night. But no, I think the larger point there is that they need to change that rule.
Yes.
And it shouldn't be expected of a goalkeeper to take a penalty to win a major trophy.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that.
Okay,
totally
John, we're very grateful to you for joining us today. And of course, we'll be doing the European Championships. We will be doing them. I'm just wondering if the players will be able to raise a gallop, John. It's been a long attritional season for the players, and you've had in your own time many such nothing like this though. I mean, you've been in three competitions: European competition, FA Cup, when it was a big deal, and the First Division as it then was. At this stage in the season, you do need a break, don't you? And it's hard to think of these lads now going off to the Euros with their countries, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not right, Eamon.
No.
It's not. I know we've had this pandemic, which is most unusual, but I think the international situation should be geared to what's actually happening. And It's not going to happen, because they're the money boys. They create the competitions. They're going to create another competition. I think in the European football next year.
Nations Cup.
No, I think
the other one. Yes.
They're starting up another one now. The way if you finish outside, if you finish fifth, you go into the Europa League. From what I read in the papers, they're starting another one.
Oh.
Along with the Europa League, apparently.
No, they're going to have a league. The format for the Champions League has changed.
Yes.
I think that's what it is. And you'll have 4 more matches to play in that pre-Christmas period. And then...
well, I must be wrong, but I thought I read where they're actually starting another competition for people who are finishing lower down the Premier League.
Oh, might get a game, so...
We'll keep an eye on it.
Okay, John. We'll talk to you during the Euros. Thanks for all you've given us, all the info and all the wisdom over the past, I can't remember how many months. That's the great John Giles. We're grateful to John.